All right. We are back live again. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Veteran Wealth Secrets, the podcast, coming to you live on YouTube and Facebook. For now, we'll be launching the audio traditional, podcast here in a few weeks after we've got a bunch of interviews recorded so we can roll them out on a very, very regular basis. This is kind of the system of creating podcasts. You get a bunch of them under your belt. I've now got almost 40 people scheduled for interviews over the next, month and a half or so. So we're going to be getting these out in large numbers, and real excited. I want to announce today we launched my book. We've been working on it ever since the lockdown started happening. But Veteran Wealth Secrets, the post-military guide to autonomy and financial control, is live today on Amazon. So make sure you go and pick that up. We'll leave a link in the description. But until Friday at midnight, it's free. So get it while it's free. I don't want to charge you. Amazon's making us charge. So go to Amazon, look for Veteran Wealth Secrets, get a free copy. Please leave us a review. Share it with other people who might benefit from the book, especially here in the next 36 hours while it's going to be free. And finally, last thing, the show, as always, is brought to you by my firm, US Vet Wealth, where we help our military and veterans and those in transition, look at a modern approach to all things financial. Because the bottom line is the whole concept of retirement planning, it doesn't work. It's been shoved down the throats of active duty military for the longest time, when frankly, it has nothing to do with that, because the biggest opportunity of their life is the day they get out of the military, and they've all been told how to do their financial stuff wrong. And I don't know why nobody else thinks about it this way, but we do. We think they deserve better on how to position their assets and resources. But speaking of which, I'm very excited to have Commander Jarrod Smith on the show today on the second episode. Jarrod, I'm going to bring you on. He's a commander. Whoops, did it again. Commander in the Navy. Gone through some big transformations here in the last 18 months since I've got to know him. We met on LinkedIn. He's been a fun guy to watch, just completely re-educate himself and get into the online community, figure out where he can add value. And what's up, man? Good to have you back on the show, or on the new show.
Hey, Scott, thanks a lot for having me again.
Yeah.
Real excited to be here.
Right. So haven't seen you in a while because we've all been on lockdown, but we've talked a lot. And I know you're technically working at the Pentagon, but I don't think you spent a day in there. I'm not sure.
2 days.
Yeah. So this is the American military. We're too afraid to go into our Pentagon. Great. Yeah, that gives me a lot of faith. But no, but tell us kind of what's life like for you these days. In still being in the Navy, yet looking at the future and what you got coming up.
Hey, Scott, life is great and the future is bright. I do have to correct you though. It's Jarrod H. Smith. I always use my middle initial because that last name Smith, there's trillions of people with it.
Actually, I do the same thing, because if you Google Scott Tucker,
that's right,
the crime billionaire guy comes up who did the payday loan scandal, and he's got an Amazon documentary. So I was like, Scott R. Tucker, not trying to be weird, but I don't want to get confused with that guy.
Well, here's how we're never going to forget it again. An aviator at my previous assignment at Sub Pac gave me a call sign. And he called me Heck Yeah, because of the gung-ho nature of the way I approach the work out there. So you can remember me by hashtag Heck Yeah. And that stands for my middle initials. So there you go.
Oh, okay. And I'm assuming using heck versus the other version of that word is
the other version that aviator used. I had to tidy it up for the kids.
Oh, I see. Okay. That made sense. But yeah, so what have you been up to here since the lockdowns happened, and most people are obviously getting forced to educate their kids and become homeschool teachers and stuff. I think you guys were already doing that anyways. No.
Okay. The lockdown forced us into the homeschooling environment. My wife wanted to provide our kids with more stability than we thought the public school system would be able to provide them with.
A lot are doing that
in Northern Virginia. And she had always said that she did not want to homeschool, and I honored that wish. And on a dime, we turned. and she started homeschooling them, I guess, in early April, maybe late March. As you know, we all went on lockdown. I was in school at the time in a Master's of Science program at National Defense University. We were scheduled to do a lot of CONUS and OCONUS travel, and all that got canceled because of the COVID pandemic. And that provided me a bit of a relief valve, believe it or not, that gave me the opportunity to really dig into this education piece that you talked about, that I kind of started on about 18 months ago once I met you.
Yeah. Well, so the show is called Veteran Wealth Secrets. Now, our definition of wealth really doesn't, money is just a small part of it. Wealth is about your ability to control your time so that you can serve those whom you're meant to serve, so you can give back value of things you've learned or are learning as you build your your skill sets and new talent stacks. What's the secret that you wanted to share with the audience today?
Every single active duty service member is transitioning right now. Very, very few understand that fact. It is, like you said, the one opportunity that we have in our life to knock it out of the park. I put the label Big M mission on that for each individual service member. And the most important thing they can do from a U.S. vet wealth perspective is recognizing today, right now, that every active duty service member is on a mission to transition out of uniform, and that there's information and certain processes that they need to grab hold of and run with throughout their entire military service time.
So what you're doing is, and I see you so active on LinkedIn, posting all sorts of wisdom, and it looks like you're trying to shake everybody to say, hey, listen, wake up. It's coming for us all one day. And so when you said people don't understand they're in their transition, what's like, well, the guy, I went to my retirement briefing, like, of course I understand I'm in transition. I've learned the resume, but what do you mean by that when you say that we don't understand? Because I think you probably talk a little bit about from experience how you felt like you were that guy, right?
Yeah. So the example that I like to talk about is from about 5 years ago. As a young 04 lieutenant commander, major for you Army Air Force folks out there, I had a collateral duty as the transition assistance program officer for that command. And in the Navy, and I believe it's this way for all branches of service, the transition bureaucratic steps reside at the individual command level, wherever that is. So that command is responsible for transitioning service members, either separating and or retiring out of service, and making sure that all of those check blocks are met. And by the way, let me caveat at this point, nothing I say here is representative of the U.S. government, Department of Defense, or any U.S. Navy element. I am not wearing a rank on this show today, and I'm speaking as Jarrod H. Smith. But with that said, I helped 5 junior officers separate out of service, and I helped 5 senior officers retire out of service. And I say help with kind of tongue in cheek, because what I did was make sure they checked all their blocks for the bureaucracy to make sure that they could get out when they got out. What I didn't realize at the time was that could have been me too. And I did not recognize the fact that I too was on a transition mission then. I kind of had an idea that, I would get out one day, but I had no structure. I had no specific tasks of things I should be doing then or earlier in order to set myself up to give me the slack and the flexibility I would need at that inevitable transition date. And the reason is because I was focused on the little M mission of that command assignment. And these systems do not take care of us individually on our, what I call my 3 pillars of life. On our health pillar, concerning utilizing the medical system to the fullest. What I call the status pillar, which is our identities beyond the rank or the weapons platform or the service branch. And then on the wealth piece either, because they are continuing to educate us in the traditional model of wealth planning that is completely and totally tied around the financial services industry. And they're having us funnel all of our resources into these vehicles that are not putting cash flow in our pockets, but are lining the pockets of these custodians on Wall Street. And it's been a long 18-month journey for me coming to the realization that they don't have my best interest in mind. Right?
No, them or the bureaucrats of government, paying the taxes, the people justifying their jobs to keep on going. It's, between Wall Street and K Street, why would they care? Everybody works in their best self-interest. And I think in the military, we get so used to not working in our own best self-interest because we sign up to serve. We forget that, hey, when you're not on duty, you need to spend every waking moment being self-interested and not waiting until that retirement or transition brief to finally think about it.
So that's interesting you say that, Scott. I've been fortunate enough to have been in a position to have the pressure relief valve open back in the spring to give me a chance to breathe again and think about this. Mm-hmm. And since then, whenever I did engage medical and force them to get me healthy on a medical challenge I had, my whole life has changed. I'm a much better officer and a much better person right now during the workday, because I know that me being able to take real care of my people when I am my best self can happen. So I don't see it as all little M mission service focus while on the job and then all self-interest off the job. They're connected. We have to blend that together.
Right. So let's dig in a little bit deeper into the kind of, 5 years ago or so when you were a transition officer, and really it was just an assignment. So you're just like, what's the duty description? It didn't register per se. Like, I will have to do this eventually. I might as well understand it and get better at it for myself now. And you've now started. You're still a few years away from when you plan to get out, so you've been prepping a few years ahead of time.
23 months.
23. Okay, well, it's coming up close. But still, I mean, I know from experience, most folks are thinking about this actively about 6 to 12 months out. What are you seeing? What are you seeing in the community these days? It has the lockdown, has it improved? Have been any improvement and change in folks thinking about this a little earlier? And if not, what can we do other than, just yelling from the mountaintop as much as possible, but still.
So here's the thing, Scott. And no, I don't think there has, because I'm trying to get my message out. I've been actively interviewing and talking to and getting feedback from my peers at the senior officer ranks. I've also talked to some junior officers from my past as well. And the problem is, it's not the mission, right? We're focused on little M mission. And my stance is they blend together. They're both. The issue is folks that are waiting until 6 to 12 months out, and even those that finally wake up to the fact at 24 months out. How long did it take us going through the training pipelines early on in service to get into the psychology that we were put into for our first operational assignment? How long did it take?
Well, for me, I mean, it was 4 years at West Point, and then another at least 12 months for Officer Basic, and then showing up my first unit, and I was like, I still have no idea what I'm doing.
Right.
So
it's not a matter of having an idea of what you're doing though, but just like you, I was a 90-day wonder coming from Navy OCS. Then I went into a 2 to 3 year pipeline to get me equipped to go to the fleet and serve on that submarine right out of the gate. So we have undergone a major psychological change in military training. TAP doesn't give us that back. TAP does not offer that, hey, self first idea that this capitalistic economy and democratic republic runs on. That is where it starts. And when you're in the pressure cooker of the little M mission in your last assignment, staff or operational, either one, they're all hard. When you're in that pressure cooker of an environment, and then you're told, hey, here's how you use LinkedIn, here's how you write your resume, here's how you interview, and then send on your way, we're set up for failure.
Yeah, because I mean, let's just be brutally honest. It's not like you're going from a corporate job to a corporate job when you leave the military. And the way that we act like it is disingenuous. It ends up back. I know everybody means well, but again, the people doing the transition assistance programs, again, they're like you. They're holding an assignment. They've got to check boxes that some bureaucrat way high up in the Department of Defense determined that this is what every soldier must go through to get out of the military. It's like we're all the same. And
exactly
what a shame, because ironically, if we got out, in a more individual way, how much better would we look back at our military service, and not to mention how much better would we represent as veterans within our community versus just, we like hiring veterans because they're hard workers. It's like, I don't know that that's always true, because if you don't tell them exactly what to do, a lot of the time we get confused. And so we have to go down that, individual journey path to discover, how what fills it up. And it's not, and it doesn't happen overnight. This took me 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, it's the missing piece, Scott. I really believe that. And again, referencing my unique opportunity in the spring with COVID and my specific assignment being a student, kind of releasing, I had the chance to go through a self-reflection workshop. I actually went through 3 by chance, with two programs that I purchased, took for self-improvement. And then a third was a so-called free offering, right? It wasn't free because it cost me 2.5 days of my very valuable time, but those changed my life.
Yeah.
When I met you, you sent me a blind LinkedIn message asking if I wanted a free LinkedIn profile review when I was in the mindset of having to go to corporate America and get a supply chain job, because that's what I've done in service to the nation for 18 years.
Yeah. And then I asked you, I was like, is that what you want to do? And you were like, no.
I don't. Well, I think I might have said, I don't know. Right.
Right.
Maybe,
yeah.
but I have the entrepreneurial spirit. I had my first and only company right out of high school, and I'm going into business for myself.
Mm-hmm.
These government programs that are offered, the 2-day Boost to Business workshop, for example, when somebody's taking that stuff within 2 years of getting out of the service, I just don't see that there's any way that somebody can do what they need to do to then launch a business and get a customer base and have that thing going by the time that they separate and or retire out of the service. Yeah, it's a much longer time. It's a much longer ramp than that. And I didn't just start this year. I mean, I've been thinking about this for a while. I took Boost to Business about 4 or 5 years ago as well, but I didn't know what to do. And it takes time.
Right. And I think the issue there's a lot of, how to start a business programs out there, and they're great resources. Absolutely. Yet the assumption is it's kind of like, I'm going to start almost like a brick and mortar business. And right. So you got to go to get your LLC, then you got to get your bank loan and get your lawyers and all that. And it's like, actually, does any of that really matter unless you actually have sales and marketing skills? Like, that's what you need to do. You need to learn how to build an audience. Yeah. And there's never been a better time in the digital, world right now, where I think everybody should be starting a business on their phone to at least try and test it out. So I know that's what you've been doing, and I know you're experimenting in a lot of ways to build those skill sets. But tell us what 3 years from now, what would have to happen for you to feel good about your success, personally, professionally, as you're rolling out this new program. Right now, it's called the Commissioned Officer's Guide, right?
Yeah, I'll get into that in a second, Scott. Okay. No matter how much money, resources, time, and effort I put into this, if I can save one veteran's life with it, then it's a success.
Awesome.
Now, that's the emotional answer as to why I started this. Mm-hmm. This started when I saw another 22 push-up challenge on Facebook. in March or April. And none of us are Captain America, Chuck Norris strong. These push-ups are not moving the planet. And we need to get real about the veteran suicide crisis. And I believe to the very depths of my being that it is a mixture of poor medical use during service that leads to poor health when we leave. It is a part of not being financially prepared like we could be prepared and not having our wealth picture in place
or aligned with
what you want to do. And then lastly, it goes to my status pillar and the identity, and not being hung up on the rank and the weapons platform and the service branch and the little mission that we've been charged to go and defend the country with. All three of those pillars, just so I can make this point, all three of those pillars for me reside on a foundation of relationships, and relationships come back to psychology, influence, and persuasion of the people in your world. So until we can get ourselves right and get right with our identities and who it is we are as core beings, without our rank and the uniform, it's going to be really, really hard.
Yeah, I love that you're focused on that. I think, combating the depression, suicide epidemic, a lot of it has to do. I mean, I feel very much the same way. It's at the end behind my mission. You get guys. I see a lot of people come out and they might be super wealthy, but they're miserable at the same time. And it's just, and then we get confused and kind of look around going,
what do we do?
I don't know what I thought it was going to be different,
And then if you don't have relationships in place to call and get help, we see the 22 per day, and I'm extremely scared that it's going to rise in the economic environment ahead.
Yeah, if they keep up with these lockdowns and stuff, like this is dangerous. I believe. But
so Scott, before we forget, I know we're running out of time here soon, but I will to expand on my company. The Commissioned Officer's Guide has come up with a turbo transition tool, is what I'll call it. And that is part of my Freedom Accelerator program that I am rolling out. And now it's in its beta version now, and I plan on it being full throttle come January 1st, 2021. And I'm trying to figure out exactly, how to go about getting people to use it once they know about it. And then we're going to fix this.
So this is it a course or a coaching program or just to guide people into transition in a different way earlier? What's the main crux of what makes it different?
It's all the above, Scott.
Okay.
It is structured to begin upon graduation from training pipelines right now for officers. The idea is that these officers will get equipped and informed and then go take care of their people in every operational assignment and staff assignment that they're assigned to. And it really is all the above, because if somebody doesn't pick it up straight out of the training pipelines and they've got 25 or 30 years in and they think they're going to 35, they can start now. If they are a year out or more, they can start now. My program is a 5-year planning horizon, because I believe in my very being that it takes 5 years to set yourself up to get this right. And if we've got some structure and a little bit of direction and a coach or a guide holding you to task to take care of your personal business throughout military service, then we can send every active duty service member back to society to be a healthy, contributing member to it and not a burden upon it.
Yeah. And it's even what I love about this is your focus on, during active duty, the more that you're aware of, wouldn't we want to have a better understanding of how civilian life works anyway, so we could better relate to our community that we're serving to defend? It's weird that we always separate ourselves so much.
Absolutely.
In this day and age, the connectability, the ability to build relationships, have networks, I think it's only going to improve the active duty career, or
absolutely
for post-military career. So,
and we've got to build that bridge back between us and the population, because I've read that it is spread, it is widening, and that's a problem. And what I've done with this program, Scott, all I've done was taken the weapon systems readiness life cycle phase and laid that onto the individual service member, because we all need to be ready to return to society to go do great things and not get out there and ask for handouts.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I applaud your effort on, just experimenting, throwing stuff against the wall, learning the skills, being an example of what I've been preaching for the longest time, what our friend Jason talks about all the time. Yeah. It's like we have to take self-responsibility and control if you want to find, have the freedom to find your happiness. And it's not about just getting rich.
control your future.
Right.
Yeah, so I'll end with this, Scott. And this just came up recently, but I consider myself the Dwight D. Eisenhower equivalent for the Service Member Transition War. And I am assembling teams right now for us to fight it.
Oh, let's take the beach. Yeah. All right, Jarrod, how do people find you, get a hold of you, find out about your program? You got a website or link?
Yeah, I've got a website, www.jarrodhsmith.com. You can also search in any browser for the Commissioned Officer's Guide. And then LinkedIn is my main social media platform of choice, because there's 190,000 military officers that identified themselves as transitioning military officers, which tells me they don't know what they want to do with their life whenever they get done in uniform. So search hashtag heck yeah or hashtag PITIME, PITIME for the number 3.14. Hashtag PITIME has all my content, video feed and posts and whatnot. So you can reach out to me through LinkedIn, and or sign up for my content on my website as well.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Well, awesome, man. Well, we'll look forward to chatting to you again in the future and see how things are going in 2021. And we'll see you online, man. But have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Scott. You too.
You bet.
Talk soon.